Hello and welcome to the Baron's Game Room. I'm Aaron as always, and I don't think I'm supposed to have this quite yet. About a week ago, I was at my local Walmart and I saw this on the shelf. Wrist Strike. Loved the box. Immediately got caught in by that. And I looked for a video on it and couldn't find anything online. But I decided to get it anyways. I've played it since and thought I'd make a video so I could help out the next person like me who saw this game and wanted to know something about it. Jumped yesterday where I did one last search to see if there were any other videos about Wrist Strike, and I found one, kind of. What I ended up finding was one video that was actually marked as not being launched until tomorrow, so 2 days from when I found it, meaning, yeah, I don't think I was supposed to have this yet. So let's do a quick little unboxing. There are 6 domination coins, 1 for each continent. I think these are pretty cool, really. 5d6, 3 red for attack, 2 black for defense. 5 double-sided reference cards, 1 for each player. A deck of white continent cards, and a deck of black tactics cards. For setup, you're going to shuffle both the decks, deal each player 3 continents cards, and they'll put them face up in front of them. If you have any matching ones, just go ahead and keep them in a stack, and then give each player 3 tactic cards that they'll keep secret in their hand. Then, after that, you're going to roll the dice. Whoever rolls the highest starts off the game. Everyone except the player who goes first is going to get 1 more tactics card. You will always start your turn off by drawing 2 cards. Now, they can be a combination of continent cards and or tactics cards. So you can draw 2 continent cards, or 2 tactic cards, or 1 of each. If you draw any continent cards, be sure to put them face up on the table in front of you and add any tactic cards you have to your hand. The next step is to decide whether you want to attack or pass. If you choose to pass, draw another tactics card, and then your turn is over. However, if you choose to attack, you'll need to select one of the continents you have a continent card for, and need to select another continent to attack that another player owns. These lines on the reference cards here show you which continents you can attack. So, North America can attack Europe, South America, and Asia, whereas Australia can only attack Asia. You can also attack within the same continent, meaning that something like Australia could attack another player who had an Australia card as well. After you've selected which continent you're attacking from, and which continent of opponents you are attacking, the next step is to deploy troops. Each player may play any number of troop cards from their hand onto the table in front of the continent in this battle. Now you can play any number, but keep in mind that any troops still on the table at the end of the battle are discarded, so don't play too many. After playing troops, it's time to roll the dice. To determine how many dice you roll, you get 1 die for each continent card you have, and you get 1 dice for each troop card you play. However, that maxes out at 3 dice tops for the attacker and 2 dice for the defender. So even though the attacker has 2 troops and 2 continents, that would be 4, but it maxes out at 3. The defender has 1 continent and 1 troop, so they get their full 2. It's similar to regular Risk. After both players roll, you're going to compare highest dice, and then compare next highest dice. If there are any ones unmatched, you just ignore them from the battle. Whenever the defender is higher, the attacking player loses a troop card. If there are no troop cards there, then they have to surrender one of their cards. By surrendering, you simply put it to a special spot in the center of the table that we'll talk about in a sec. Whenever the attacker successfully rolls the highest one, again, troop card is destroyed, but if there are no troop cards, then you can take the continent card and add it to your pile. So you've declared your attack, you've rolled your dice, you've taken a card or 2 hopefully, but it's not necessarily done yet. After you've compared all the dice and exchanged all the cards properly, you can choose to stop and end your turn and the battle will be over. But you can also choose to keep attacking. Players will have another chance to play more troops out to the table, and then you will roll dice again based on your power, compare them out just like before, and you can continue to keep attacking over and over again until you choose to stop, or you take all cards of that continent from your opponent. So in that situation, I took their 1 and only Europe card, so I couldn't keep attacking. Couple quick notes on combat though. Any card you take does not get added to your combat power throughout the rest of the battle, meaning if I was in North America attacking North America and I claimed one of those cards, I wouldn't get to add it to my pile immediately, meaning I get to roll another die on the next turn. However, as you lose cards, that does affect how many dice you're rolling. So as the combat goes on, you're going to be likely rolling fewer and fewer dice. As well as, a quick note, the ties always go to the defender. So anytime there's a tie, it counts as the defender winning. I haven't said much about tactics cards so far, other than the troops. Basically, these are special cards you can play. Sometimes at various parts of your turn, they always kind of claim when you're allowed to play them, and they can just help you out in the game by giving you more cards, adjusting your rolls, looking at your opponent's hand, getting rid of troops for you, or just canceling out other cards or battles altogether. Now, I mentioned cards getting forfeited earlier. Whenever you as the attacker end up losing one of your continent cards, it gets forfeit up here to this little special part in the middle of the table. Those cards can be taken by any other player on their turn as part of the 2 cards they draw. So, on another player's turn, they could take my North America that I lost, and then continue drawing as normal, say one other card. Boom. That was their 2 cards they drew this turn. Now, you may have noticed these numbers on the continent cards. Those show you how many continent cards you need to collect to dominate that continent. For example, the first player to collect 4 Africa cards will take the Africa domination coin, place it on top of it, and that shows that they have officially dominated this continent. If they end up losing continents, that is fine. They still maintain control of the continent until another player collects 4 cards. Then if another player can collect 4 Africa cards instead, they would claim the token. A quick note that the more cards it takes to dominate a continent, the more common that card is in the deck. So, things like Australia and South America, which only take 3 cards to end up dominating, have the fewest cards in the deck, and continents like Asia, which take 8 cards to dominate, have the most cards in the deck. The player to have domination over any 2 continents wins the game. Now, I will admit, I don't have a big history of Risk. I didn't own it as a kid, and by the time I got older, it kind of had too much of a, negative sort of being a big long game. It takes forever for me to ever get it. But I've been buying a lot of these spin-offs lately. I've always been interested in Risk, so this seemed like a great purchase, and I think it was. I actually really enjoyed it. I do know how to play Risk, and I think this really kind of covers a lot of the same. It's got similar attacking and all that. It's got similar, theming and all that. I think it just takes the whole idea of Risk and brings it back a little bit, making it a lot faster to play, a little simpler, a little more family-friendly. Obviously, it's significantly faster to play. No player elimination, which I know Modern Risk has tried to do away with its secret missions and stuff like that. But, yeah, I thought it was a great time. I think you could make the complaint if you were a big fan of Risk that this brings down the strategy a little bit, and I can't necessarily say that it doesn't, but I also just think that there's different kinds of strategy now. Instead of the slow build of your army and figuring out where to place them on the board, it's a lot more luck involved in it, but there's still strategy and trying to figure out which player you want to attack. Because you need to make sure that no one else gets too much power in any one continent, because this game can be over like that, since battles can go on and on until somebody takes all of somebody else's cards. So as the game goes on, combat becomes more and more frequent, and again, any turn could finally be the turn where someone finally takes all of what they need to get to their second one. So anytime someone gets 1 domination coin, things start getting scary. So it's its own strategy of figuring out who you want to attack, where you're going to attack from, as well as when to play your tactics cards, because draining all your tactics cards can leave you wide open to just get stomped. So yeah, I think it's got its own form of strategy. If you're a big fan of Risk, maybe you'll like it. If you never wanted to give Risk the time of day because it seemed like such a big, long board game, then I think you'll definitely like it. Personally, I'm happy with it. Hasbro, sorry if I'm not supposed to have this yet, but good game. Well, Avalon Hill, good game. Strike is Baron approved.